I have been historically not a fan of all of the animated movies that have been turned into live action flicks. And, that trend continues. I'm not a fan of this. As mentioned in my spoiler-free review, there were quite a few other critics who really said that they liked the film. And so I may be in the minority. And so if you went to the movie and you decided, no, I loved it, then great. There are lots of critics that you can go to and be like, hey, I think we're more on the same level. I mean, look ahead. It's like, God, there's 20 minutes of this. You don't have to be here. You can go do something else. You can go down another rabbit hole. It's okay. We're cool. But I've gone through and I've seen other people's reviews that got to see this much earlier than I did. And they were like, oh my gosh, if they have any problems with it, they're just like making stuff up. And I'm like, I don't think I am. There are mega problems with this. I think maybe if your average person comes into it and just says, you know what, I'm just going to come in here and ingest whatever's put in front of me, then I'm sure you'll be fine. I mean, sure. The reason I'm here is because I thought that they were going to do something with this. My real thoughts, though, are that they just stretched this out like Laffy Taffy until it just fell apart. It started out with this title card that said The Little Mermaid, but a mermaid has no tears, and therefore she suffers so much more. Okay, cool. So I'm thinking maybe there's going to be something that happens with this quote through the whole thing. She does cry. She does shed a single tear at the end, but why there was no connection as to like she could not cry prior, and like was this something that she needed to cry? There was no discussion about that. There was no really buildup of that quote as to why those things connect. And the only reason I'm connecting them is because I had to go through and think, did she cry? What? Yeah, but did that matter? Not really. Okay, all right. The "We Are the Daughters of Triton" song is completely gone. And while I don't necessarily hate that, the fact that they took Sebastian and just said, you're not a composer, you're just a crab, it just really was a bad move. By making that change, you've completely taken away a major driver of different plot points in the story. I am going to have to suspend reality even more now because I don't know that this is very natural for a crustacean to come out and start making up songs on the fly. Important songs like Under the Sea and Kiss the Girl now really don't have any real reason to exist. It also takes away a lot of the setup for Ariel's voice and how she has a special voice. In the new one, she's not special. And this goes back to normal lore. Basically, The Little Mermaid was the only one that said, hey, there's really just one daughter of Triton that really likes to sing. And it isn't necessarily a mystical power, it's just that she really likes to sing. So in this one, apparently now it is a mystical power. And I thought, okay, is this a moment where that's going to elevate the story and kind of use it more? And it kind of did, but not in a way that I liked. The siren song of a mermaid is supposed to be something that lures sailors to their deaths. I believe that undermines Eric, his desire to be with her, because now he's heard her sing, and therefore the only thing that he has connected to this idea of who saved him was the fact that she was mystically entrancing him. It just takes away from him. Later on, when you have Ursula as the human Ursula, which, by the way, I really liked that actress. She probably was one of my favorites. Anyway, so she's up there, she starts singing, and now she has entranced him with this siren song. Okay, but still, it doesn't make me feel like it really has it for Ariel. This, to me, flattened the story. Also, on the Daughters of Triton. Now, I know that casting in this movie was 100% due to desires for representation. And I know that representation matters because as a kid growing up, that Disney princess line was the thing. If you were in play mode, if you wanted to be a Disney princess, you always chose the one that had the same color hair. It's the thing. So I get that, and I understand that they're wanting to appeal to as many people as possible. But here's the thing. They made it seem like biologically Triton is the actual father of all of these mermaids. Originally, here are the sisters, and I mean, yes, they all look different. They have alternating color hairs and seashells and whatever, but they all kind of look like they at least could be from the same parentage. When you look at the sisters from the new Little Mermaid, it's like, okay, King Triton has a baby mama in all 7 seas, and he only has custody once a month. So that is why on the Coral Moon, all of the sisters convene. It's just kind of weird. But then there's this one part where the sisters like talk as though like when mother died, as though they all had the same mother or something. And I'm just thinking, okay, so were they sister wives? Because I'm just looking at biology here. But if biology is the only part of reality that I have to suspend belief in order to accept, great. But there is so much more. Now, if Disney is coming out and just saying, no, we are 100% for adoption, and that is what we are saying here, then I'd be like, great, I love it, bring it on. And maybe that is exactly what they're saying, because guess what? Prince Eric, he's adopted. Which brings me to another change. The original Hans Christian Andersen story took place in Northern Europe. So they've now moved it from Northern Europe and have placed it in like the Caribbean area. And yes, it is Caribbean. The only time you would ever say Caribbean is when you're talking about pirates. That's what Disney taught me. Being that they moved it into the Caribbean area, it just feels like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense why, you would have a different recasting, like aesthetically. But it's just like, okay, so if you're going with that, why does he have to be adopted? Why can't he be not white as well? It's kind of like you're just trying to have your cake and eat it too. And you're just adding all these convoluted storylines in order to make all of this representation make sense. Just make the story make sense. Change it. If you're already going to change it, change it. In the first film, Eric, who, by the way, is my man. I love Prince Eric. He was not conflicted at all. I'm not even sure if he had parents. And for all we know, they could just be like off doing a royal tour of some kind. He doesn't have any issues. He's just celebrating his 21st birthday, maybe? I don't know. He's celebrating his birthday on a boat at sea. Okay. He's out there. He's competent. He knows what he's doing. But he's also has this charm that he knows who he is. He knows where he's going. And he's not really bogged down by anything. Grimsby, you old beanpole. You shouldn't have. You called him a beanpole? It's not just Grimsby alone. The whole kingdom wants to see him happily settled down with the right girl. And then he says, oh, she's out there somewhere. I just haven't found her yet. But believe me, Grim, I'll know. It'll hit me like lightning. Obviously, this is a very beloved property. For the live-action Eric, they have added Jonah Hauer-King, the actor who plays Prince Eric, and I'm going to say he is a cutie. In the movie, he's a lot more conflicted than the animated Prince Eric. And he has these goals that everybody is pushing down on him. And he's not allowed to go out and do the things that he wants to do. And therefore, he's so determined to one day get it. That's one of the things that I really disliked about this movie is all of the characters, their major look, none of them have fun throughout the whole thing. They are just determined. Okay, everybody, get your determined faces on. It's just so weird. I mean, the thing is, like, he's super cute. He's very boyish. He has his own song, and he's a good singer. Like, his actual singing voice, I commend. Very good. But the song itself, written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, not that great, not that memorable. Really can't remember it at all, other than the fact that he sang it very determinedly. It seemed like they went to great lengths in this one to show you that he's conflicted, he's a mama's boy who doesn't make any decisions for himself. He also has a helicopter mother who basically is afraid that he'll die at any moment, so won't let him out of the house. Also doesn't trust him which probably makes sense because all he wants to do is leave the house and go sail uncharted seas. Now, there are a couple books out there that are basically fan fiction, but then Disney has distribution of them, so apparently they're just calling it canon. They could have just done so much. Like, having some kind of reason to add these extra characters would have been nice. Instead, they're just adding them just to add diversity, and it's just adding characters. It's just stretching that Laffy Taffy, and it's just gooey, and like, I don't even know what this is anymore. As far as Ariel goes, I just felt like she's got a great voice. And all of the marketing is around her because literally she's the only real good thing that they have in this movie. And even then, it was like you just weren't directed well. Like, you had your determined face on. In the original, the ship gets struck by lightning. In this one, they hit a rock, so somebody's not driving. Oh, one good thing that happened that they changed in this one is Ariel helps save Max, the dog. So good job, Ariel. I liked that change. I think the biggest issue that I had with this whole thing is they went to great lengths to make sure that this was not a love story. After Ariel saves Eric, she's up on the beach, and then Ursula is kind of looking at him from afar. In the original, she says, oh, she's in love with a human, not just any human, a prince. In this one, she says, oh, she's in love with the human world already. When Trident finds her in the grotto and is like, I consider myself a reasonable merman, instead of saying, as the original, but I love him, Daddy, she says, but that doesn't mean we have to be enemies. And finally, when they're on land, they take away the whole motivation that she has, that she says that you have to make dear old Princey fall in love with you. That is, he's got to kiss you, not just any kiss, the kiss of true love. And they take that knowledge away from her so that she doesn't have to be like on a conquest to get this guy. I'm sure there was some story meeting somewhere where they said, a man cannot be her main motivation. Why not? I know what love at first sight is. And I've been in a position where I was willing to basically change every plan in my life in order to pursue something. And not that it worked out, but still, I know what it is. Girlfriend knew what it was. She knew what she wanted, and she was willing to change everything in her life in order to go for the thing that she wants. Why is that bad? Why is love bad? Huh, Disney? Tell me that. Once she gets on land, she's literally just there for the ride, just kind of swaying and going with the flow, wavering like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. Then another thing that really bugged me was the fact that they tried to just throw at you that they were basically meant for each other because they were both the same. Like, oh, they both collect things. Oh, they both have this same feeling of wanting to actually be in the other person's world. Oh, they both have these things and that thing, and they're basically the same person. Fun story. I dated a guy who once told me, you're basically the female version of me. And I just thought, oh my gosh. Because up until that point, I had like checkbox. There's so many good things about you, but I hate this relationship and I don't know why. When he said that, I knew it. And I realized this whole time, I was looking for me. That's not a good thing. And I'm not saying this because I think I'm a terrible person. I'm saying this because if you already have a version of me, why do you need me? You don't. So don't do that. One of the nice little Easter eggs in there is Lin-Manuel Miranda himself played Chef Louis, but they took out Chef Louis' song. I was very upset at this. Now, I can get it. They're like, oh, well, because the movie isn't placed in France anymore, we're going to actually move it into like the Jamaica and like Caribbean area. And so why would there be a French chef singing Le Poisson, how I love Le Poisson? Why would you do that? Instead, we're going to have crazy songs sung by Awkwafina and David Diggs playing Sebastian, doing the song The Scuttlebutt. Not a fan. There were songs in here. There were moments of like inner monologue from from Ariel that I was like, yeah, we don't need this. And then there was a whole nother dance section where they're like going out and dancing and she like puts the hat on him. At the very end of it, everyone like falls so awkwardly onto this like middle thing. Like, I don't know. It's a set and they're just like, Oh, look at us. We're all just here enjoying this fun little dance number we just did. It was like, what is this? I don't even know. They had moments where they wanted to make this a kind of the same thing as what The Little Mermaid is, but none of them were really sincerely there or had any real connection or chemistry. They were so lacking in chemistry that I was just bored and also annoyed and just every couple minutes I'd be like, I hate it. I hate all of this. Why? When they go under the sea, it's just the animation style really bad. Why? Why would you do this? Why would you do this to these characters? They go from being super fun and happy to these like kind of frightening and not at all something that I would want to like, hey guys, come around and be my friends. They really should have just taken these characters out and made them something else and made a different story instead of doing this. I wasn't a fan. Not a fan at all. The animation under the sea was one of my major problems because there was so much of an uncanny valley, and every time you get any of the mermaids kind of like swimming, you're jerked out of the even idea that this could be a real thing because it looks weird, especially since this is the studio that brought us Pirates of the Caribbean, Avatar, just really good things. And I couldn't get behind it. I mentioned this in my other review, and I'm going to repeat it again because I still feel that it is true. It felt like they were having some kind of problem with the animation style, which tended to be the case with the Uncanny Valleys. They were having these problems, and they thought, you know what? How about this? Try to deliver your lines without moving your face, because that's probably going to be the only way that we get this to work out with the hair and all. Even Melissa McCarthy, who I love. She was, I guess, directed this way. I don't know. Maybe everybody was like this, so it must be that. You mustn't lurk in entryways. It is rude. Oh, in my days in the palace, we had fantastical feasts. It was just so bad. That's all. I can't say much more. I didn't like her in this. I felt like she was just broody and oh yes, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. The animated Ursula was charming and had a flair about her and just was so just delicious. Like you just loved her. You loved how just mean and spiteful but so charming. Like and you just couldn't get it. I couldn't get any of that from this Ursula. Melissa McCarthy just didn't bring that to it. Once again, I think this was direction. The only time that I felt like there was a true chemistry between two characters was a moment when Prince Eric and Ariel leave. They take the cart and their little carriage away. You had the butler Grimsby and the maid, I guess. Carlotta was the name of the maid in the original, so I'm assuming they kept it for her. But anyway, the main maid, they had this like back and forth. Are you going to tell the queen that she took the carriage? What carriage? Oh, and they had this moment that I was like, okay, I believe that. That's like the most that I got out of this whole movie. And I'm going to end it with my absolute worst part of this movie is the fact that they made it so instead of at the very end, because at the very beginning, Ariel saves Eric. He owes her a favor in a way, like, so it's his turn. In the original, he's the one that gets on the boat and he turns the boat and ends up killing Ursula for this whole thing. But instead, he just gets caught on some other boat somewhere, like just kind of floating around. And she's the one that falls on this boat and she's the one that turns it in and kills Ursula in this moment. People are trying to say that, oh no, it's because she is the hero of her own story. And I'm like, here's what that's telling girls. In order for you to have a story that is worthy, then you can never ask for help. You must always be the girl boss. No one is ever going to save you. Also, no one is ever going to be there for you. You must be your own savior. You are expected to do everything. And I know there's going to be somebody out there who says, oh, that's not what it's saying. We're just trying to make up for the fact that, all those years we had like low expectations of women, which is true. But the pendulum has swung too far, okay? this whole review is just coming to like me expressing all of my stuff. It's fine. And at the very end, she goes down, she talks to the King Triton. He comes back alive and you sacrificed yourself for me. And he says, and you fought for me. I had help. What? I can't. I was very upset with this whole thing. Anyway, I hope you like seeing me go nuts on things. Yeah, until next time, my name is Chelsea Robson, and you're watching the Rotoscopers YouTube. Life under the sea ain't better than anything we got up here. So something very exciting happened. I wrote a book. Actually, it's not a book, it's a journal. It says, My Bucket List, 100 Dreams for God to Guide Me. And it's like, you can go through and actually write down what your bucket list is. You should buy it. Check it out. Amazon. Links below.